Alright guys, Shay here, uneven mountains, hope you guys are well. Well, cricket, South Africa, where do we start? Obviously, England's tour just been cancelled. They'll be arriving back home, back here to the UK, I think tomorrow. They flew out today. Bit of a farce, wasn't it, really, if you think about it. There's so many, obviously, reasons why cricket South Africa is just showing itself to be a complete joke at times. This is just another kind of notch in the bedpost, isn't it, really? Another string to their bow if it comes to the cricket South Africa. I mean, it's been kind of buried, not buried, but a little bit just kind of swept under the carpet what's actually happened here. Now, granted, obviously, something's happened in terms of the nets, the positioning, obviously next to a construction site. Obviously, people in the hotel have left the bubble. People who've not contracted to stay there on site in the hotel. All these reasons, obviously, the practice pitches in the middle apparently weren't good enough. That's why they train those outside facilities and, well, like those nets that were at the next construction site. And we've had a lot of back and forth, basically, from team doctors and officials from both camps and blaming each other as well, which is pretty petty and unfortunate, really, because obviously there's generally a good relationship between the two camps, the two sides, and the administrations, but it's just, I'm just really appalled at the whole thing. I mean, you can look at it as you want, you can blame who you want, it doesn't really matter. The reality is there's huge ramifications here for South Africa. I mean, from governing in a financial perspective, if you look at it, obviously they're now going to be potentially going over anyway to, well, I think Australia seemed quite keen on getting South Africa over there to Perth to play the test series out there instead. And then obviously, well, the entire tour actually, I think there's some T20s there as well. In that tour, Australia we're going to obviously make as part of the itinerary in South Africa next year. But looks like that could be played now in Perth. And then obviously got Sri Lanka now have come out this morning, who are obviously very worried as well. The fact that they're concerned about the COVID and the security of the COVID bubble. And it's just a case of, they want South Africa to kind of adhere to the LPL rules, the Lanka Premier League, which is going on right now. Because obviously they've got the England touring 10 days later, and that's obviously a very lucrative tour. They'll have some, obviously, fans in the stadium, obviously the TV rights money, etc. And I think for South Africa's point of view, I mean, I know if they have to, especially the Australian tour, apparently if they do have in Australia, they'll want to make sure that the revenue will go to them through Fox Cricket, their partner in Australia. They'll want to make sure the revenue goes there, but it's still, in terms of the gates, I mean, they're going to lose the gate revenue, aren't they? So that's, they can't, I'm sure they can't say to Australia, well, you're going to have, obviously, crowds coming in, you need to donate that money to us. I imagine it's highly unlikely, and they'll lose the gate revenue. And we obviously don't know if the gates will be there. There'll be actually a crowd in South Africa next year, but potentially they could have been. Obviously they'll lose that revenue, won't they? Obviously at home support, but that's dealing with the sporting side, which I'll go on to next. But I just think, like I said, from a financial point of view, cricket South Africa don't need that. They're hemorrhaging money over the past few years, losing millions of dollars. The last thing they need now is to have an aborted tour, like they've had now, because obviously what happens to the rights fees from SuperSport for the ODI series? What happens to that? Is that going to be paid still to Cricket South Africa? I very much doubt it, because obviously the cricket was televised, so that's lost. It's just a calamity of errors, isn't it, really? I mean, if you look at it from a sporting perspective, no one's really kind of talks about this too much, but there's obviously a lot of players there who have flown particularly only there for the ODI series. I think about England, for example, Liam Livingstone, Chris Wokes. Reece Toppy was there for both squads, but Chris Wokes and Liam Livingstone weren't. They were only in the ODI squad. People have been there for some time, like Sam Billings in both squads. He's not played. Reece Toppy, I mentioned, didn't play in the T20 series. These guys could do with games under the belt, especially at international level. I mean, Reece Topley's obviously played quite a bit in the summer, but he's had a recall after a few years, and he's not played. He's just sitting in a COVID bubble, done nothing, and he's now returning home, not played any cricket. Ollie Stone, another one, was raring to go. I'm sure would have been picked. Mark Wood, another one, raring to go for the ODI squad. Not picked. So not picked, not be able to play because of also what's happened. Stone and Wood could have really done some cricket. Those two particularly, they obviously are fraught with injuries, so they're both fit. And Ollie Stone, I mean, we really want to see Ollie Stone play, not in an England shirt. We really want to see this guy. We feel like there's a lot of potential there. He can do a lot of damage, but the longer it goes on now, when's he going to play next? By the time the next series rolls around, obviously Sri Lanka, they've got away. He's not really suited to those pitches. Will he go in the part of the Test squad? Maybe, but it would be conducive for him, these wickets, and I think he would have done quite well, especially considering his form on the warm-ups. But again, he's itching to get into this England side and make a name for himself there, not playing. Thinking about South Africa in particular, like Calvarina needs games, Yanman Milan needs games, David Miller sitting around doing jack pretty much for months now since that first few games. He played one game, didn't he, for Rajasthan? Or was it 2 games? A couple of months ago now, sitting around, doesn't play 40 cricket anymore. Inexplicably retired from the first class game. Ridiculous. Needs games. Crazy. He just, Tembavuma really needs more games. He needs to have played, in these 3 ODIs. So from a sports perspective, like I said, these guys, young and established, whichever, with Miller and Tembavuma's case, and obviously the younger guys like Verena and Milan have just got a little taste of international cricket. They are not able to, set foot into the park. And now, with these series going over to Australia, potentially Sri Lanka, don't tell me these guys are going to prepare, it's a home series. What the hell does that mean? Don't tell me Australia and Sri Lanka are going to prepare South African pitches where you're going to turn goal into frigging Joburg. Come on. Be real here. It's not the freaking home series. You're going to see in Sri Lanka, you're going to have a lot of South Africans, around the arena, around the stadium. You're not. It's a away bloody series. There's not a home series. You are playing away. I don't give a shit what happens in terms of behind the scenes and off the pitch in terms of revenues being split. This is an away series. So you're not getting your home series. So Calvarani and Milan, instead of playing obviously getting more experience at home like they got at the start of the year against Australia, they now have to get more cricket the next set of caps away from home in foreign conditions. These guys haven't travelled too much, in their case. Junior Dalla, what happens to him? Brought back in from the cold, needs games. Not going to see him. Mirage obviously wants to kind of consolidate his position in that white ball squad in the ODIs. I'm sure he's gutted because don't forget, obviously they had the India tour, cut short, didn't they, in March? So now this happens. It's just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? So it's very disappointing from a financial for South Africa cricket, financial point of view, and from a sporting point of view, it's just a massive fuck up. Basically, you look at it. And you can blame it. It doesn't matter who you blame, but the reality is there's been COVID bubbles being executed correctly and allowed cricket to continue. There's been no cancellations in the Caribbean, in England. We had a full summer of cricket here. We had Australia over, Ireland over, West Indies over, Pakistan over. We had T20s, ODIs and Tests all played, no problem. Geoff Archer made that misdemeanor, but nothing was cancelled. He just missed a test and it went on. No problem. CPL, no problems. IPL 2-month tournament in the UAE, no problems. LPL going on now. Players have tested positive. They've been isolated. No problems. New Zealand is obviously playing cricket against the West Indies right now. No problems. It's going ahead. But not South Africa, eh? They couldn't even manage a 10-day tour. A 10-day frigging tour they couldn't manage. After what's happened to them over the last couple of years, and now this happens, just a kick in the teeth. It's just error after error after error, embarrassment after embarrassment after embarrassment. When is someone going to take a hold of this corporate body and just give it a good shakedown and say, right, we have to conduct ourselves in a correct professional manner? And you can blame it on a little bit just misfortune from what happened, but where's the governance there? Why wasn't it strict enough for that to happen? Shouldn't the right people have been in place to oversee all these dealings, what was happening, how the players interacting with each other? Apparently the bribe before the first T20 match, these people weren't socially distanced. These guys are hanging out like it's a frigging Friday night with a beer and a Voss. Any old Friday, you know what I'm saying? No, this is not there's so much at stake here, as you've seen. I mean, you saw when Archer made the misdemeanor, Ashley Giles said it could have cost the ECB millions. This is what was at stake, but it's just ridiculous. And I hope it doesn't do anything too much damage to ties between ECB and CSA. I don't think it will. To postpone tour indefinitely. That tour's not going to go ahead. When's the tour going to go ahead now? England have got a massive, 12 to 18 months now of cricket planned. They've got Sri Lanka, then you've got India, then you've got India at home. I think you've got New Zealand coming as well, potentially. I've heard that from different camps. I'm not sure if it's official or not. But they've got a full test program against India, 5 tests. So potentially with New Zealand thrown in. Then you've got the World Cup. Then you've got the Ashes. They've got the short Pakistan tour as well. They're not going to play. If they go back to South Africa, it'll probably be tagged on to the next tour, which will be 2023, 2024. Very disappointing, especially for the cricketing fans in South Africa. They start off the cricket for so long. You get 3 matches, you get a little taste, you get a little bit, and then you don't get the full whack. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, very disappointing. We've had our fill as England fans. I'm wearing the South African cap, but you know what I mean. We've had our fill. I would love to have seen the 3 ODIs for various reasons, but it wasn't to be. And who's to blame for that? It has to lie with CSA. They're the host nation. They're hosting this tournament. It was up to them and their regulations and their rulings and what they put in place. You can't just go and outwardly blame England because they're just trying to deflect the blame. And that's why they timed, by the way, this Pakistan tour. There's no doubt about it. After what happened, this complete joke, this farce, this fiasco that broke out, the last 2-3 days. They've now timed it and said, we're going to Pakistan. I'm sure that accelerated the conversations, the fact of what's happened here between them and England. They thought, okay, we need to get some cricket, we're going to go to Pakistan, 2 tests, 3 T20s, thank you very much. It's, starts next month. Hopefully Sri Lanka will still come, we'll kind of quell their fears, they'll still come, then we'll go to Pakistan. It was already in the works, but the release of that information, either it was already there, or they've accelerated the conversations between the 2 boards because of what's happened here, to get it out into the public, to appease the cricketing public there in South Africa. So say, okay, you know what, we've got Sri Lanka still coming, hopefully that'll be fine, they're not going to shit themselves too much, and we're going to be able to appease them and get them over to play the 2 tests. Then we'll go to Pakistan, then hopefully we can get Australia back and reassure them that everything's fine. If not, we'll go to Perth. But it's not good, is it? It's not good, as for instance mentioned before. You just got to think about the ramifications of this. I know it was an idiotic error, simple error, but there is a bigger picture at large here. And a lot of people have been affected by this on and off the pitch. So I'll leave it there, guys. Let me know your thoughts. I'm totally out of whack. Do you agree with anything I've said? Let me know in the comments below. Please do subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. I'm a couple away from 100 subscribers. I would love a couple more before Christmas. As you can see, Merry Christmas, guys. And if like and share the video if anyone you think would like this video, this content. And hopefully I will see you on the next one. Cheers.